Hi everyone. This tutorial, or actually more exactly a series of possibilities, is about the Montreal Art Store project. This is an actual photograph I had taken a few years back when I visited the wonderful city of Montreal, and I think this is an excellent photograph. It gives you opportunity to flex your creative skills and pull together some of the things you've learned in Photoshop thus far and see what's working, not working, and also just plain have some fun. Nothing wrong with some fun. The original document will be a little bit different than mine. Yours will just have the actual image here. And I want to know that you have like almost unlimited creative latitude uh, inside for this particular assignment. Let's take a quick look. I have my rulers set to be on. I like to know how big things are. I'll take a quick look at my image size here. I'm looking at it's 150 dpi, a little bit over 4 by 6, so it's a little bit bigger than the average postcard size. So you can crop this document, which would be using the crop tool. Hopefully you remember that. I could go back in and pull this down here. And let's get this to get rid of that white border around the edges. I could even be so bold as to say, hey, I don't want it to have two stories. Let me start here and I'll take the rest out. I'm going to escape out of this because I don't really want to do that now. Escape and escape. I'll go back to my move tool. You're allowed to do that. So I would go back in and just say, hey, what does an art store look like to me? What do I like about this photograph? What do I not like about this photograph? Parts of it are very interesting. Parts of it are possibly a little bit dreary. I can easily try to colorize the entire thing. I could make a new layer here. I'll show you some examples. And these are just examples. These are not really directions. These are not the best way to go about things. I could make a new layer. This is my duplicate of this store here. Create a new layer from down the bottom. And over top of that layer, I would select all. And I want to maybe pick a vivid color, something crazy, something nice fuchsia here. To edit, fill, foreground color, Command D to deselect, and then just force this color, maybe do an overlay, but everybody's kind of done that. It's okay. It's, not, it's your assignment should be much more hand edited and much more evoking of a true emotion, but go with things that are put together this way. Right here, I just happen to have made a hue and saturation layer, which if you notice, taking this color and putting it over top as a fill gives everything, let me zoom in a bit, this purple color where if I leave the original layer here, and I want something to look where the color is more forced into it as opposed to on top of it and colorized, I would go over to uh, layer, new adjustment layer. This gives you a layer over top of this, and I want to do the hue and saturation, which will affect the colors. Hue is another word for color. Saturation, obviously, how dense that is, or actually how saturated it is. If your menu is somehow or other looking like this, you just pull this down. I actually want to pick colorize. So this will give me this, and from here I can change the type of color, how deep it is, and also working here. Now what I want to remind you is that this is a typical photograph, and just like the grayscale project, look at this in multiple possibilities. I don't necessarily want to do one technique for the whole thing. So think about masking, editing masks. Let's turn this off now. I'm really not in love with this particular option. Let's take a look at this one here. This one's the same type of thing, but a blue. What you can do would be to just say, hey, let's go into my original docs, and I want to make this a little bit more serene. I also want to make this landscape. There's nothing that says that you can't increase the size of this document physically. So we go to image canvas size, and then from the right here, I want to make it bigger here. I want to make the width maybe say 7 inches wide. We'll just say okay. And let's go in with our marquee tool and rectangular marquee tool. And I want to chop out, just drag it down here and make sure I'm on the right layer. I'll just chop out a big chunk here. Oops, I'm hitting delete. There it went. And I could use the masking tool, but this I know I want to be permanent. And maybe my next step would be to take the lasso tool and pick up some of this area of brick here and really just say V to change it to the move tool. And it's Command C or Control C, Control V to paste. And then I can actually maybe look at continuing this sidewalk. Maybe it's getting a little too odd here. You'd have to go back in and delete some of these areas, make sure the bricks lined up. There's a little bit of stuff not happening right here. I can look at my main dock. So maybe piece away at some of this stuff. Let's select this area here, the actual piece. A good habit to be in is I usually check auto select so that when I click on an element, that then becomes the active layer. If you notice, I'm clicking where my cursor is here on that newly pasted cobblestones. And this is just becoming active. And if I click here, this also becomes active. So this one here, let's select it, the actual piece. Let's mask this. And I'll go back in, and as we learned before the masking piece, I've got a big giant brush. Big giant is way more than 13 pixels. I'll do 150 just to try it. And on my mask, I will just maybe, that's a bit much, but I think you're getting the point. I'm just going to kind of fade. Got a big dent here. Let's fix that. Maybe, and then switch back to black. Notice I'm just kind of going in and out, and I'll actually give this whole thing a background. So I just clicked on a new layer. I'm changing the layer order. Going back to here with the white. I want to fill the whole, I want a big white background to make this a little softer feeling. Then just go to edit, fill, and maybe make sure I'm on foreground color, normal blending mode of light, and say okay. And then I could say, well, maybe this is happening for me. I could even possibly rechain these back together, the mask and the object. Select them, move tool, move this whole thing over a bit, and say, hey, you know, I want to work on the mask again. And where's my trusty brush? Up in here on the side. Although it's a bit big, I think you guys will get the point, and maybe kind of go that way. You know, is that exactly what I want to have happen? Possibly not. I'd have to fix the bricks up here. But it does totally change this. I can then, from what I have here, image, new adjustment layer. Let's try to colorize this one in something a little softer. Do the hue and saturation, colorize. Make this, I'm getting an almost antique-y type of thing. I'm going to go a little bit more yellow saturation. Oh, that's too bright. And maybe the lightness is way up, so it's really kind of ghosted back. Again, changing some things here really affects the perceived historical quality of things. You know, what are you trying to convey? How you say it is just as important. What you say sometimes in the photographs and digital imagery, this definitely is the same case. I'm not in love with any of that, but it is definitely an option. I'll go back to my original here. I'll turn all this good stuff off. And I'll actually click on the layer mask and delete the layer mask rather than just disable it. There I am back to one again. I'm going to nudge this up a bit so I can see the bottom. I think my first stop would be to possibly take out the, using the clone stamp tool, take out the fire hydrant. It's an eyesore. As soon as I look at this photograph, because of its color and where it sits, it's very distracting. Taking it out might be a good option. Maybe you want to paint it paisley. Totally up to you. Maybe the pictures in the pieces here, I could make a black and white photograph, and the only thing that is color is the actual artwork that is involved in the store to really bring light to them. I could even make a picture of my dog, steal it from Facebook, pull it into Photoshop, and put a little artistic expose at the Montreal art store of my dog. Again, these are just some very out there artistic ways of thinking about this. I don't want to tell you how to do the project. It's mostly for you to pull together the things you've learned and to continue to explore in Photoshop. All this stuff will greatly help you during your wallpaper project. So have fun and make the Montreal Art Store look great.